What's going on, guys? I'm going to show you guys how to solo ZF Graveyard from around level 44 is where I started. I'm 47 now, so I've done this for the past day. Got a few levels. Just go ahead and buff up here. You're going to want Ice Barrier, Mana Shield, Dampen Magic. The first hard part about this is learning where the reset points are exactly. Some of them are pretty finicky, and in order to get there, you have to execute them pretty flawlessly, otherwise you're going to get shadow bolted and die. So I'll try to explain to those as I go. Go ahead and mount up. You go to about this point, go this direction. You're going to aggro this pack, don't worry. If you get casters, you can line of sight right here. Try to hit that left wall. Again, that one probably will land. Go directly to your left here. Try to stay on the left wall. Here's our first reset point. You're going to dismount right here, and then right at this exact point, if you guys can see this, anywhere else shadow bolts will land on you. It's pretty finicky. So we have a mob aggroed right there. He's not going to let us go. Everything else de-aggroed. So in order to de-aggro this boss or mob, we need to get over this direction. The problem is sometimes he'll aggro those shadow casters, in which case we have to kind of toggle back and forth. So now that he's de-aggroed, we can go right here, make sure he doesn't aggro again. If we're in the previous spot, he will aggro. So at this point, we can go ahead and put our Ice Barrier back up in Mana Shield, mount up. We'll go to the second reset point. Try to stay on this left wall, otherwise you'll aggro the shadow casters in the center. Stay left, stay left. Here's our next section that we're going to stop at. You need to stay right at this corner, touching it, not too far in that direction, not too far back. Right here, otherwise, again, if you do have shadow casters, they will shadow bolt your ass and fuck your day up. I've died many times right here. Alright, everything's de-aggroed now. Go ahead and re-Ice Barrier, re-Mana Shield. If you do this quick enough, that Pat won't get there. You won't have to worry about a couple extra mobs. Otherwise, you may have to wait for them to run backwards. Go right this direction. You can aggro the shadow casters. Dampen Magic will take care of most of that damage, rather than aggroing the other pack. Jump over that. Stay on the left wall. Hopefully we won't get that shadow bolt since we're going to try to line of sight. Stay hugging left. If you do get dismounted here, sometimes you do, don't freak out about it. Just try to re-Ice Barrier, Blink, Frost Nova, whatever your way. We need to get up this direction. It's not too far. Again, if I got demounted there, I wouldn't worry. I would Blink, Nova, Ice Barrier, whatever. This is going to be our next reset location, our last reset location. Pop right behind here. And we're safely at this location. I'm going to cut right here, just because that was a flawless run, and then we'll get to the actual pool. Okay, so once you're de-aggroed, go ahead again, Ice Barrier, Mana Shield, drink, eat. We're going to kill one mob here. You can do this at 44, depends on what type of mob it is. This is a Shadow Hunter. It's definitely the hardest, especially at 44. Just going to try to burst the shit out of it. You probably will have to use some kind of health potion, especially if you're 44. Just do everything you can to land damage on this guy. He just hurts because he's ranged. Spam that Ice Barrier. Oh god, and the Hex. This is definitely why you probably will need... It's more likely that he's going to Hex you earlier on. So... Especially at 44, you're likely going to need at least a superior health potion. But once he's dead, that's pretty much the only mob we actually had to kill straight up, and it's definitely doable. It could also be a witch doctor. It's probably a 3 or 4 difficulty, and then the other one is like a shadow something. I don't know, shadow orb dude. Anyway, he's very easy to kill. You can just kite him around. The shamans though, they do require a good counterspell to kill early on. So go ahead and met up here. Next step we got to do is we got to aggro this boss. So the zombies run towards him when we pop the graves. I'm sure most of you guys know that. We don't have to get full here. We're gonna mount up. Sometimes he actually aggroes you and runs, or tries to cast. Otherwise, if you just get in there really, yeah, see, that time he did. It's unfortunate, but it's no big deal. Just run back here, reset. Sometimes if you just barely get inside his aggro radius and turn directly around, he'll just say, "How dare you enter my sanctum," and won't actually yell. When he yells, he aggroes the mobs, and that's when you have to reset. If he doesn't yell, you can just continue with the pool. So we'll wait for these little homies to despawn. Once they do, I'm going to show you guys 2 more reset locations and in case things get a little crazy on your pools. You don't think you can make it all the way to that vase. There's 2 more reset locations. The first one is here. It can be a little dicey to jump, so you want to be careful there. This is a reset location. Another one is right here, a little bit easier to get to. Jump first. Oh, God, of course I'd do that. Jump first, you can reset here. If you got shadow casters or something like that, you can run back over this direction to this safe location. Alright, let's get to the pool. We're going to go stand over here. You can take your dampen magic off just in case you need to heal pot. Go ahead and turn on ice barrier, mana shield, med to full. Make sure you wait to pull into your ice barrier. It's about, like 5-10 seconds, something like that. Alright, so we want to run with the graves as we pull them. Sometimes you miss a grave. It's no big deal if you do. Immediately ice block right here. Wait for the mobs to all hit you. Jump out of ice block and Nova. If one pops out, that's okay. Re-ice barrier. Run around and pop like that. Does take some practice, guys, so if first you don't succeed, try it 2 or 3 more times. Again, he wasn't stacked up very well. That's okay. You may need to health pot if you're at 44 in situations like that. Got a little close there, no big deal. Goal is to strafe kite in circles. I don't necessarily like going anti-clockwise like this. I like going clockwise, but sometimes you get what you got. Another resist. As soon as you see resist, go ahead and put up ice barriers. This is actually a good run to show you guys on because of all these resistant things that can go wrong. Doesn't always happen. I'm going to go ahead and pop a health pot there. Don't worry, a lot just drop here, so don't worry about using them. Just use them if you need them. Again, you can see I'm always strafing, running forward, and as soon as my cone of cold is about 1 second, turn around, make sure looking at them. Also, make sure you don't run into pillars and die by something that's easily preventable. That hasn't happened to me yet. I I can't, everything else that can go wrong has happened to me, but luckily for me, I've been able to dodge that fail. Like I said, if you guys see a resist above the mobs, you're going to want to instantly Ice Barrier. Um, Otherwise, save the mana. You'll notice on my bar there, I do have a mana gem ready. You really don't need it unless you get lots of resist and have to cast Ice Barrier a lot. Um, Even at 44, you won't need it. And I'll show you guys my gear after this pull. Even if you're a little late on the slow, if you're far enough away, you can still get the Cone of Cold off before um, they get to you. So don't sweat it. The important thing is to be loose here and just be consistent. I promise though, in the process of learning this, you will die, especially if you've never um, Cone of Cold kited like this. Again, resist. It is the last mob, but you know, even at 2 mobs, these mobs can be deadly. So you know, you could Arcane Explosion here. You could do whatever. Um, you know, I'm gonna just show you what I always do, which is just be consistent. Okay. There we go. The first set of mobs is down. I'll go ahead and cut the clip here while I loot everything up. Okay, looted all the stuff down this side. Occasionally, if you accidentally fail to click on a grave, you may click on it. Try to remember the ones if you think you didn't click on it, so you don't try to loot it. But if you did, they'll spawn. You'll need to reset them. Either reset the instance or kill them however you like. If it's one, you can solo it down. If it's multiple, you'll have to do the AoE kite. If there's multiple that I spawned by accident, I just reset the instance and move on. Take the L, you know. So make sure you got your ice block off cooldown. You re-put your ice barrier and mana shield. Med to full. Go ahead and do this pull right here. I typically skip that grave right there. It's just easier. I found it more consistent. Ice block as close as you can. Not very many mobs on that. That's interesting. That's okay though. I'll show you good technique here. Got the reset again, or got the resist again. It's actually pretty good that we're getting that. Got the clear cast. That'll help later on down the line. Oh shit. That's okay. Things can happen. Woo! Close call. Go ahead and pop that. Like I said, those drop pretty consistently, so don't worry about using them. They're also pretty cheap on the auction house. Resist. I'm no pro at this by any means. I've died many times doing this. It's not as easy as it looks. Spoiler alert. You're going to need to practice, you're going to need to die and run back here many times. So just so you know, don't give up. This is a very few amount of mobs. Really, if I weren't recording this video, I'd probably just reset that. But, you know, like I said, if you can do it with 3 or 4 mobs, you can do it with, you know, 15, 20 mobs. There's no difference in how you kite. It's literally just running around in a circle, turning around, and cone of colding. If you get resist, pop ice barrier. If you get low, pop a health pot. Your mana runs out, you pop a mana jade, mana gem, whatever you got. And like I said, I've been doing this since 44. There's practically no difference other than the fact that you may need to use your mana gem or your health pot more frequently. I didn't really even notice that much of a resistance difference when I was doing it at 44. In fact, I think since I've been doing this in this video, I've been resisted more times than I've ever in any run previously. So you're seeing probably the hardest um, this could be. Though I have failed many times, obviously, from my own errors and not doing what I'm telling you guys to do. When you're 44, you can get like 120,000 XP per hour. It's slowed down now. To be honest, I haven't really been paying attention to my actual. I didn't even turn the track on here. I wish I would have turned the XP tracker on. Um, but oh well. I get about 4 or 5 bubbles a run. So that's it. Let's loot up and get to the next pool. Okay, just looted these corpses right here. We looted all the graves. Other than this one, I did not click on that one, so I left it up. At the very end, you can come and loot that and see if there's any mobs in it. Um, Otherwise, you just get the free loot out of it, so no big deal. We're at full health now. We're going to pop Ice Barrier, Mana Shield. You can see my Ice Block is still on cooldown, but it will be up. Make sure this roamer is going that direction before you pull here. We're going to skip that grave. We're going to start right here. Wait for our Ice Barrier to be closer back to cooldown. About right here. We're going to pop all these graves. Do that. You don't typically need to do that. I was just kind of in a bad position. Finally, no resist there. I count like a silent 5 in my head. And Kona Cold. That's how it should go. Ideally, if you don't get those resists early on. And from here, it is the exact same thing we've been doing. I found that originally there's a couple videos on YouTube about how to do this. None I feel like have explained it as well as I'm trying to right now. I'm just trying to explain all the challenges I had after watching those videos. I feel like the hardest thing I had trouble with was actually getting here originally. The run here and finding the exact spots for resetting was challenging. Most of the videos online had gnome mages, and that may not seem like a, a big deal, but the shadowcasters will shoot undead in certain locations and not gnomes, because obviously gnomes are shorter. That's this is just my understanding. Okay, it may or may not be right, but where the gnomes stood, I could not, and I had to find my own specific locations to stand. Once I was here, I definitely died a few more times until I finally got the rotation down. And you guys will too. But guaranteed, this is absolutely the best XP in the game, bar none, that you can get at these level ranges. I don't know how long I'll stay here. I'll stay here until it gets poor. Um, but there's absolutely no sense as a mage to be grouping to do these graveyard runs. You're just sharing XP for something that you could be doing by yourself solo. So that's basically why, if you guys know me on Benediction, my warrior's name is Astounding. I did many runs here on Astounding with AoE groups, and I'm glad that I finally got a mage myself and am able to do it solo. The cache is really good. Leveling wise, you're probably looking at like 20, 30 gold an hour. But once you're 60, obviously you can push much higher than that. You won't even need to do this cone of cold kiting at 60. Plenty of videos on YouTube about how to do that. I'm going to pop a mana gem because we're going to reset. We're done with this instance afterwards anyway. And that is it. We'll loot these corpses up and I'll tell you how to reset. Okay, I looted the mobs. I'm going to go ahead and pop an ice barrier and mana shield and loot all the graves. If you guys have a friend in your guild that's just farming, try to get them in the group so they can reset the instance for you. These graves I have not opened, so they may aggro. As you can see there, aggroed. Just kind of root those there. I'm going to make sure we at least loot all the graves. We didn't loot that one. It also had a mob, but no big deal. Go stand in your reset location, wait for combat to drop. Make sure your buddy, in my case I just have an alt here that I can reset for me. So once this drops, go ahead and log out. Once you're logged out, your friend or yourself can reset the instance from your alt, and it will put you right back at the beginning of the entrance in a fresh zone. So we'll go here, reset all instances. Zulfuric has been reset. Pop back in. The wife's home and she's shooting me in the back. So once you reset, you're back at the entrance. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and let me know in the comments what you think. Thanks. I forgot to go over my gear, so I'm going to just quickly hover over my gear. Most of this gear I got in Shadow Monastery. So you just go from Shadow Monastery to here, and that was it. We can also quickly go over my abilities. When you're 44, you're probably only going to have mostly in the Frost Tree. Definitely improved Cone of Cold. You're going to need that. And then just start working towards Arcane Concentration. Definitely get 2 of 2 Arcane Subtlety first before you go the Arcane Focus. That'll help just a tad bit. So that's it.